Hey there. Hey, welcome to Be the Boss of Your Money. It's time. I'm Mitch Goldberg, your host, and this is the place that you come to be the boss of your money. It's something sometimes we have to learn about, but this is the place where you go to learn about personal finance, investing, business talk. We do it all here because I want you to become the best possible version of your financial self. It's a really good feeling, and it's something that we strive to be. Never quite perfect, right? But something we strive to be. I'd like to welcome you to my live show, my podcast, my live stream, my baby. I love doing this. I've learned an awful lot in my 30-year plus career. Wow, 30 plus years. I've got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot to teach you. That's what this is about, and I love doing it. So if you're out there, and I know you are, I want to just say thank you so much for joining me. I want to say, please ask me any questions you have in the comments. I'd love to answer your questions. If you're watching during the replay, I'd like to welcome you as well. Certainly hit me up with your questions, and I will definitely ask them. I will certainly answer them in the comments. We've got a few things to consider. We've got some things that we really need to talk about. We have to address the what if, because that's what investing is all about. It's about addressing the what if. What if this? What if that? Eventually, you pick your position, you make a move, you step up to the plate, you swing the bat, and that's what you got to do. And then you readjust. Uh, that's what we're going to talk about. Today, we had another major drug company come out and say they're having a problem with their COVID vaccine. That's very negative, folks, because that's something that we're all expecting, and we think we have all these vaccines in the pipeline, and any day we're going to get them. Well, let me tell you something. This just goes to show you how difficult it is to actually come up with a workable vaccine, especially so quickly. It's a very risky business, and it doesn't happen quickly. There's going to be big ups and big downs. So we have to address the what if. What's this? What does this mean for the stock market? What does this mean for the economy? What does this mean for you? We need to talk about this and what we're going to do. So let me roll the intro, and then we're going to take your questions. I already see someone out there, and we'll be right back. Stick around. And we're back. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mitch Goldberg, your host. You're watching Be the Boss of Your Money. This is my live stream. I put this together. I love teaching people about everything I know, and I know a lot. So if I can teach it, I enjoy it. It actually makes me better at what I do. So I'm going to make you better at what you do, and I'm going to make myself better at what I do. So it's just like a virtuous circle. How about that? So let's see who's out there. We've got Isaac Leibovitz out there. Hey, Isaac, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. It's really good to see you. Isaac's coming in here from LinkedIn. Good to see you, buddy. And thank you for all of your support on all of my social media posts. I really appreciate that, buddy. It means a lot to me. All right. So we've got a few things to talk about. I think the subject of the day is it was a deep breath moment today when Johnson & Johnson, one of the world's foremost pharmaceutical companies, announced that they've got to halt their COVID trial because someone got really, really sick and they're not really sure. And I want to tell you, I don't really know what that means. I mean, it's a good thing that these vaccine manufacturers at the drug companies are under such scrutiny, and that the FDA is going to really be very, very careful. We don't want a vaccine that comes out too quickly that we can't trust, that makes us even sicker. We want something that works, but we have to, take time. Medicine can only move so fast. Clinical trials can only move so fast. The human body can only process so many compounds and chemicals, so fast, and you just have to give things time. So I don't know what this really means. So about a week or two ago, AstraZeneca had to halt their trial, and then yesterday, who was it? Eli Lilly had to halt their trial, and today Johnson and Johnson. These are like the three. There's like six big trials going on, but the three biggest ones were just had to be halted. And I've heard some scientists say that this is normal. If something happens, you have to halt the trial, and then you have to uh, then you could get back on track with it. Just have to make sure that you're doing everything as safely as possible. It does highlight the painstaking process to go through the development of a vaccine. Typically, vaccines take years to manufacture, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. To get to the point of distribution to the public. Now, with technology and monoclonal antibodies, we think we could get there, and RNA technology, we could probably get there a lot quicker. But still, we're moving as quickly as we can. So this is a little bit of a scare. The Dow is up. The Dow is actually down all day, but it dipped to its lowest point right when that Johnson and Johnson news came out. What does it mean for stocks? What does it mean for your personal finance? What does it mean for long term? So it's like, would you say, Isaac? Do you do long term investments? If yes, we can have a discussion. I know you meant discussion about that. I got you. Well, that's exactly what I do. Thank you. So, how do I say this? We have to consider what could happen, how things would be if we don't have a vaccine so quickly. I think it's generally accepted that the economy in the fourth quarter this year and first quarter next year should start to come out of this COVID-induced recession. We're out of the bear market already, but the economy can come out of the recession, and that would be very positive. But if we don't get a vaccine, what does that mean? Does that mean we don't go back to our offices? Does that mean we don't get back to physical networking? Does that mean we still have to avoid large crowds? Does that mean movie theaters still can't open? Does that mean that, all these things? I mean, I hear stories of, I'm not even getting into the COVID, the COVID deaths, but everyone has something so important in their life that they had to miss. A friend of mine missed his first grandchild's wedding, which is heartbreaking to have had to miss that because of, flying restrictions and COVID and his age, things like that. There's a lot of things like that. My son started high school this year, and he's starting ninth grade, which is one of the greatest times, formative times of your life, starting high school. But they only go every other day, no sports, no after school activities, wearing a mask all day, and they're home, every other day. And it's just, you know what I'm talking about. You went to high school, you have kids who were in high school, right? And so you know what I'm talking about. So we have to discuss this. So let's just take a quick wrap up for the day, and just I'll work in the information that you need into the update. Okay, we'll do a quick share screen. So first thing we're going to take a look at is the major averages. Dow down 157, S&P down 0.6. Even the NASDAQ, which had been up all day long, finally succumbed to the selling. Russell 2000 small caps went down, and the VIX popped up a little bit, up about 4%. That's kind of a negative. That means professional traders are getting nervous and they're paying up to hedge their portfolios. Take a quick look at the FANG stocks. So let's look at this. Facebook, Apple was up a lot yesterday. So the fact that it's off a little bit today, cooled off a little bit. Today they had the big announcement, the new iPhone announcements, the iPhone 12, 12 Pro, which is supposed to have this incredible camera. I thought the 11 Pro or 11 Max had this incredible camera, but now apparently we need the 12 because the old one, I guess the old one sucks. Okay. Amazon up a drop, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, but overall, it was not a bad day for the FANG stocks. So work from home, stay at home stocks. On the other hand, if you look at the reopening stocks, they got pummeled today. Just, red across the board. And some of these stocks are down double digits. So it was a pretty nasty day for the reopening stock. So if the COVID thing, this semi quarantine and social distancing thing that the country's going through, if investors start to feel like we have to extend this and we're not getting vaccines as quickly as we thought, we're going to have to really focus again on work from home, stay at home tech stocks, which favors the biggest companies. And in a perverse way, this is exactly what we need to send the S&P 500 to a new all-time high, because the biggest stocks benefit, the FANG stocks, the Microsoft, also Apple, they benefit from that trend. And the reopening stocks like airlines, cruise lines, a lot of the industrials, they suffer. Okay. We'll take a quick look at the sectors. The only sector that was in the green today is the communication sector, which is a big slug of it, is Netflix, Google, and so no wonder it was up, but it was barely up, and financials are at the bottom of the pack. And that's kind of that's really disturbing to me, that financials are at the bottom. You want financials to be at the top, and I'll tell you why. Let's look at the 4 o'clock close, 100.78. JP Morgan was up yesterday, was up all day today. At the end of the day, it gave up the ghost, even after a much better than expected earnings report. Same thing with Citigroup. Okay, yes, it's up 3 cents in aftermarket trading, but it's down on the day. All right. So what does it mean? It means that interest rates could stay lower for longer because the economy could really slow down. It's already slow, but at least it's slow to less slow. There's an acceleration, but that acceleration has petered out for the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks. The economy has been moving at a flattening trajectory, and that looks like it could start to go down. We don't have a new stimulus package yet. If you recall, after the CARES Act, $2 trillion plus was pushed into the economy, and the economy started to do well. Things started to pick up, and we almost started to get enough escape velocity to keep the economy going. Now it's wearing off. The COVID infections are spreading something like 28 or 30 states. But the real killer is this vaccine news, that it's just there's interruptions in the vaccine development process. And now you have to think, what if we don't get a vaccine in 6 months? Is the first quarter and second quarter going to be the same? Are the little boys going to be playing t-ball, still wearing masks? Are the little girls going to be going to dance, still wearing their masks? Are my kids, I have 2 high schoolers, are they still going to be wearing their masks every day, all day in school? These are the things. It's just a quality of life and another kick in the you-know-what heading into winter. And then we could talk about the politics, which has been, I really do expect over the next week or two for things to grind to a halt until we get past the election. So there's a lot going on. And let's say that I don't know. I have no idea exactly how the vaccines are going to go. Not even the scientists could tell you. But I do know one thing. Personal finance doesn't change. And we have to be very careful that we don't neglect that. Now, a lot of people have put their lives on hold. People put their diets on hold, and I have to fix that. But it's time to get back to planning for the future and doing what you can for your personal finance. It's very hard to say that, by the way, to somebody who's almost out of money, who can't find a job, and who's having major anxiety. That person is not thinking more than 5 minutes to 10 minutes into the future. And I feel bad for those people in that position. Jerry's out there. Hey, Jerry, what about confirmed cases of reinfection? Possible cause concern? Yes. Okay. So that you kind of beat me to it. Actually, I'm glad you did. I actually have that right here. I don't know if you could read that, but it says, that's my really bad handwriting, reinfection. So yeah, people are becoming reinfected. So having antibodies, having had COVID, whether if you're asymptomatic or symptomatic, doesn't mean as much as people think. And then how long, if you do have immunity, how long does it last? And then how long will the a COVID injectable vaccine work? These are real questions that investors are going to be facing. And my first reaction is that this once again hurts the reopening trade the industrials, the financials, the energy. And we kind of have to go back and reinforce the trades that we just took some money off of, maybe like the work from home, stay at home technology stocks. So I think this has ramifications for the stock market. I don't want to become gloomy here. I'm just saying we have to start to think in terms of everybody pretty much expects by next spring, maybe we'll be back to normal. And I'd love to be back to normal. I think that's the reason, one of the main reasons, at least, why Biden is doing so well in the polls and why um, the stock market's getting comfortable with a quote unquote blue wave, because people view it as a back to normal. People just want to be back to normal. So there's a lot to unpack here. And how does the lack of a COVID vaccine hurt the election chances? President Trump has been touting we're going to have these vaccines any day. They're going to be out. Well, no, they're not going to be out in the next 3 weeks. The election is 3 weeks from today. That's crazy that it's only 3 weeks away already. I feel like we've been in an election for the last like 4.5 years. So the election's coming up. I think as far as stimulus goes, today the big news is Republicans are going to put to a vote in the Senate a $500 billion stimulus package. I think just for PPP loan extensions and maybe for stimulus checks. I have to look into that. But the Trump administration already put out $1.8 trillion proposal. The Democrats said they're willing to go to $2.2 trillion, down from their $3 trillion plus HEROES Act. I don't think that passes muster, a $500 billion act, but politicians are using these things to bang each other over the head and say, see what we would have done for you, but the other guys stopped us. And then the other guys will say, see what we tried to do. And those guys, they're the ones who tried to stop us. And it's just going to go back and forth like that. So I don't think we see any stimulus. I do expect to see a $2 trillion infrastructure stimulus next year. And I do expect to see a fiscal stimulus package for more PPP loans and stimulus checks and more, unemployment, government-funded unemployment, not just state unemployment benefits. So, but these are all the things that are basically going to have to come out. The other thing is for the other thing for an increase in COVID cases and potential issues of vaccines maybe taking a lot longer than we had hoped is, does this create two classes of citizens in the United States? Meaning young people who could fight the disease will go on and live their lives, and the 50 plus crowd will stay in and hunker down and never go out. Is that what's going to happen? You have to wonder how people react. So these are the issues. That's the big hit for the market today. It wasn't a terribly down day. It wasn't not a disaster by any stretch, but we do have to consider, at least for your personal finance, your investments, what happened. So I don't have a clue which way these vaccines go. I'm not a scientist, but I do know this: spending less than you make, investing regularly through thick and thin, up markets and down markets, investing in yourself, your own job training. These are the things that personal finance are all about that will get you through this. We will get through this, but how much more aggravation can people take? That's the real question. And when people finally become exhausted, that's generally speaking, it's a negative for stocks. So what happens is the slow economy eventually catch up to the work from home tech stocks. Where do the tech stocks go down to catch down, or catch down to the rest of the economy? And this is what we're grappling with. In the election, it's just a sideshow. The policies that are going to be put in place, more stimulus and an infrastructure spending bill, I think those are coming no matter who is in the White House. If you saw my post this past Friday, I put out a very good graphic, which basically said, in the last 120 years, almost every single president has enjoyed an upmarket from inauguration to their last day in office. So when people say, well, if the Republicans get in, if the Democrats get in, You're all wrong if you're saying that, because it's I have proof. I have data that tells you that it doesn't really matter nearly as much as you think. I think whoever gets into the White House next January is going to enjoy a pretty good economic recovery. So that's it. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I hope this discussion gave you something to think about. And if it means that you're going to go back and reconfigure your accounts or rebalance, or maybe decide you could be more aggressive or less aggressive than you were today, then I feel like I've done a good thing. I've gotten you to think clearly about what you need to do to make sure that you are not reacting, but being somewhat proactive. I'm not saying that you should be a fortune teller and try to time the market. All I'm saying is that if you are of a certain risk tolerance, a certain age, and you can't really afford a dramatic drop in your investment portfolio, then you have most likely too much money in the stock market. And if you're the type of person who says, you know what, I don't care, I'm in it for the next 30 or 40 years, then you're heavily into the stock market, then you're okay. That's it. I'll speak with you soon. Thank you for watching.